Right, because is it after that point that you meet Babyface?
I do Death Row first. So imagine being in California, right? And you remember 92.3 The Beat? And there was a DJ named Theo. And Suge had Theo locked up. You didn't hear nothing on the radio but Death Row. You heard Snoop, Dre. That's all you heard. So I'm a church kid. And I'm like, I'm not doing it, right? So I finally broke down, and someone played Suge something of mine, and he went crazy. So I broke down, and I did it because financially at that point I hadn't made it. I'm still, just trying to, figure it all out. Even though Brandy was successful, that's one thing, And so I broke down, and I broke down, and I ended up working with them on the only project that I was really due to do was the Tupac stuff. And we'll get to how I did the other stuff. But the Tupac, I worked with Tupac. It was the day before the Mike Tyson fight. Suge asked me, he said, hey, can you do, so I did a song for the Gridlock soundtrack for Danny Boy. That was the opening of it. It's called I Can't Get Enough. It was the end title. I didn't even know what the end title for a movie was yet, and later on I ended up doing all this movie stuff. But at that time, I didn't know how important it was to have an end title of the movie. That was the song, the big song at the end of the movie. So I did that song, and Suge was like, I want him to work with Tupac. So I ended up going in with Tupac, and we worked at a studio that ended up being the Underdog Studio, which is Track Record on Vineland Boulevard. That ended up being Harvey and I studio later. So imagine I'm in a studio I don't own it. I'm just in there working. Tupac comes in. I had the music. I worked all night on this music for the fight music. And the song was called...
Let's Get It On?
Let's Get It On, right. Hell for a Hustler is another song. Okay, so we'll get to that too. So Let's Get It On was the title of that song. And he wrote it on a notebook paper. He wrote the lyrics, recorded it, and he said, you got another beat? I said, no. He said, can you make one? So I'm fast. At that point, I could do 10 tracks a day, easy. So I created another beat. And I think that beat was Smile for Me. So we recorded that. And then he said, you got another one? I said, okay. And then I think we did Hell for a Hustler. And then in that barrage of songs, I remember at one point, 5 songs in, he started talking about Jay-Z, and he's going to do this to Jay-Z and this person. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. And then he talked about, in one song, him dying. And so it's all for me. I'm just recording. I didn't even realize some of the stuff that he was saying. Because it was happening so quickly. We worked from, I want to say 8 that evening until 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, until it was time to go to Vegas pretty much.